Get ready to get ready. Coming to you live from the MFG studios in the heart of America's summer golf capital. We help you play better golf. It's time to get your game on and take it deep. This is the Mike Fay Golf Show. Here's your host, Mike Fay.
Okay, welcome everybody to today's show. We are pretty excited to have staff writer Frank Guastella. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
Good, Mr. Rules Extraordinaire, and Mr. Jason Helman, one of Canada's best golf coaches. How you doing, Jake?
Mike, Frank, how's it going? I'm doing great, thanks, guys.
Going great.
Good deal. We are so happy that you tuned in today, and thank you so much for subscribing. Our show is brand new, it's growing, and seems like everybody's liking it. So putting people together, talking about issues with golf and all kinds of fun stuff, it's been a blast so far. So speaking of getting things together, it's brand new year, 2017. We wanted to talk about goals. And Jay, what do you think about goals, and why do you think we set goals?
I mean, there's a couple of reasons to set goals. You want to have something to achieve. So, I mean, not everybody does them. Not everybody responds to them. But they're important. If you're a quote person, you're writing quotes down. Those are things to motivate you. So I think it can motivate yourself for the upcoming season. And it's something to look forward to achieving towards, either the beginning of the year, or the middle of the year, the end of the year, and so on. So those are, I think achievement is really what you're looking for, and hopefully bettering yourself from the previous year.
Yeah, Frank, why do you set goals for yourself?
For accountability for myself, Mike. I mean, if I have an idea of something I want to accomplish, I write it down, and I want to be accountable to it. I want to be able to measure that success, or measure, whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish. So I'm very much in favor of students or myself writing down their list of goals and trying to do whatever they can to achieve them.
So you just talked about, what do you do to start setting goals, and what's the process? One of them I like to see is maybe putting a big goal, and then maybe we start making little goals all the way going down. What do you think about that, Frank?
Well, I think that's a great idea, Mike. One of the things I try to do is similar to that. I'm going to review past history. We're going to see what we did last year, the year before, and we're going to try to build on what we've achieved in the last couple of years. As far as what I try to impress on my students is set realistic goals too. Conceivably, if your stroke average is 89 now, and you're telling me you're going to try to get to 79 this year, I'm thinking that's a little bit unrealistic to shave 10 strokes off of your game. So I try to work with my students on setting attainable goals, and I like them to review what's happened in the past. I think past history has a lot to do with moving forward.
Absolutely. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to figure out the process, it's you can break it down into so many things. I mean, you can evaluate competitive rounds. You can evaluate your just normal rounds you play with your buddies, social rounds. I would get my students to have a journal. So write things down in the journal, and then at the end of the year, we can go through and figure out what are the positive things and what are the things that need improvement. Those are, that's how I would get started anyway, for sure. And then, I would pretty much echo what Frank said. It's accountability. So we want to figure out, it's a really good word to use, accountability of your own self and your own game. And then trying to figure out how you're going to make that better.
Yeah, when we're going into golf, it's not just about score, is it, sometimes? Sometimes it's about everything that goes in your golf game, right? Like, what types of goals do you set? Maybe it might be eating a little bit better. Maybe it might be getting more sleep. Maybe it might be practicing your short game more or less. What do you think about that there, Jay?
Well, I remember when I was in college, they asked us a goals question. And they said, where do you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years? And I was like, I don't know. like 20, whatever, who knows where I want to be in 10 years. I didn't want to think I was going to be 30 something, and how do you forecast that? So I do a 1 month goal, 3 month goal, 6 month goal, and a 1 year goal. And at the very end of it, it's where would you like to see yourself in 3 years, and with a sense of realism. So, do you think you can, if you have a junior who wants to get a college scholarship, or is that that 15 or 16-year-old want to get the scholarship and then turn pro? What are their goals, and do they have the skills to actually get there? And hopefully you can coach them towards that. But those are short range, mid range, and long term are essentials to sort of having a pathway to achievement, I think.
Yeah, what other type of goals do you set for your students there, Frank?
Well, first of all, Mike, one of the first questions I want to ask is, what's your time commitment? Really, how much time can you spend on, if your goal is to practice more this year? Does that mean you're going to go from a half an hour a day to an hour a day or 2 hours a day? I mean, realistically, what's your time frame, and how much time can you devote to practice if that is one of your goals? If it's a scoring issue or a playing issue, again, I want to know what kind of time commitment you're going to give to this. If it's improving yourself physically, are you going to get in the gym 5 days a week, or do you only have time to get in the gym 1 day a week? I mean, first of all, I think time commitment's the thing that you've got to look at as an instructor, and start tailoring your programs and your goals towards what the student actually has the time to do.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? I mean, if we don't have time to practice, we're not progressing near as fast as we could. And like I said, all those other things, not just hitting golf balls and practicing your short game, but the other things outside of the game of golf, like, eating better and all those things. They go into playing better golf, right? Drinking more water, all these different things. Let's talk a little bit about reevaluating your goals. When do you reevaluate your goals? When do you reset your goals? Those kinds of things. Is it every month, every 3 months? What do you do? What do you think, Jay?
Well, I think if you're not achieving them, then you might have to reevaluate them. But going back to Frank's comment on realism, if you have realistic goals, you should not have to reevaluate them. And if you're working towards them, you should not have to reevaluate them. So, if they're moderate to aggressive, the only reason to reevaluate them is because you didn't maybe you reached for the stars, or the moon too quickly. So maybe you reevaluate the value of those goals, or the realistic attainment of them is what I would say. So if you're doing sort of moderate to aggressive, then you probably should be fine. But as long as the aggressive is 3 years down the road, not 3 months down the road.
Jason, one of the things that I think you want to look at too is how your life changes. Kids are pretty structured, in their lives, but when we're dealing with our older students, maybe the people that are more our age, their lives can be pretty up and down. Maybe there's a time commitment at work that they're going to have to change, or maybe there's something within the family structure that changes, and that's going to change how their goals are going to be attained. So that's one of the things that I think we need to look at too as instructors is again, going back to this time commitment and what a student really has the time to do.
And then helping them put together a program, right? I mean, I think every person's different, right, Frank? Every person
is different. This isn't a one size fits all. I mean, everybody is different as human beings, as individuals, as golfers, thinkers, whatever. Everybody's different.
So really, I don't like New Year's resolutions. What do you think, you guys? Do you like New Year's resolutions?
I'm not a fan of them either. Most people don't keep them.
Yeah, most people don't, right?
Look at the gyms that you go work out in. Our gym, the first few days was packed. Now, what is it, 2 weeks out? Starting to thin back down to just the regulars again.
It is, I would much rather sit down and, those are things I think that most people don't do very often. They don't sit down and they don't write out goals and think about things that they can achieve and all those things. You know, what happens if you write down your goal and you don't achieve it? What do you do? Do you reevaluate and start over again? Start something new? What do you think?
Well, I think sometimes those goals might stay on someone's list for a long time. Like if someone wants to break 80, they might shoot 80 a lot. They never get to 79 or 78 or whatever it is, but you can still leave it on the list because you're close. So it's still something to reach for, right? It's still something you want to achieve. So I don't think you take it off the list, because if you're really close, you still want to achieve it.
I agree with Jason, Mike. I don't think you should beat yourself up because you didn't reach a goal. I mean, maybe like Jason says, you need to reassess it, or maybe you need to look at it differently, or maybe, again, it's time to reevaluate what your goals and objectives are. So, yeah, I definitely agree with what Jason has to say.
Yeah, it is definitely tough when we don't reach our goals, but as far as when we go and we reevaluate, the big thing for me is not giving up. We don't give up. We always keep going.
Right, exactly.
We move forward as we progress. It's always good to have measurements, and I think as coaches, we're really good barometers of the measurement of our students, and we see that when players spend more time doing different activities that we ask them to do, the better they get, right? Their scores go down. All those things.
And I think the student sees your commitment as a coach in wanting them to succeed and wanting them to get better. And I think a lot of students feed off of the enthusiasm that we as coaches can bring when we're working with people. I think that's extremely important.
It is big time important. Jay, what do you think about, what kind of goals do you set for yourself? You want to share some?
I actually haven't done that yet, but I'm going to, because it's only January, what is it, the 12th or something like that? 13th, so I still have time. But yeah, I have a shorter term one and a longer term one for sure. Something at the end of the season. I keep educating myself yearly. So always learning, something new. That's one of my goals, to make sure that, and obviously helping other people learn as well is one of my goals to continue throughout life, just not year to year. So if I can help people, and you and I both get phone calls or emails, and people want to shadow us or ask us information or advice, then we certainly share it as much as we can. So those are some of the things that I do. But I have 1 or 2 goals per year. I mean, one day I'd like to be an Olympic coach. It's not Canada, maybe another country. That's one of them. I still have to get my book done. I'm trying to get a book done. That's one of my goals to get done this year, since it's been about 3 years since I've started it. But it's still on my list. I didn't take it off. I didn't quit. So those are a couple things anyway.
What do you think, Frank? What do you have? Do you have some goals that you set for yourself?
Yeah, I do, even though I'm a little bit older than you guys, and I'm probably in a little bit different place in my life than you're at. Number one, I'm like Jason. I want to improve as a teacher. I want to keep reading. I want to keep getting better. I don't care how old you are. You can always get better. There's so much information out there today that I feel can just make us better. And why not take advantage of it? Plus, with technology the way it is today, too, you have access to great instructors, to other professionals that can assist you. And it's usually just maybe even going to YouTube or making a phone call. And probably the other, I would tell you, goal that I have is more health related. At 65 years old, I want to be active till well into my 80s. So I set some personal fitness goals that I try to achieve during the course of the year. As you know, Mike, I don't know if Jason knows much about this, but I've been doing the CIFAS training for the last couple years, and every day you're measured when you go in there. When your workout's done, you're assigned a score, and what I try to do is reach a new peak. This year I'd like my peak to be 650, which I know to most of our viewers doesn't mean anything, but again, it's an attainable number to reach. I'm trying to get my average scores up to like 450, 475. Again, those are all things that are measurable and keep me accountable and keep me going to the gym, 5 days a week. So those are personal goals that I have set for myself.
Yeah, I have a eraser board. I have all my goals on. I write them on this big board, and then I break them down. And I break it down to weeks. So every week I try and do something to get towards my big goal, whatever that goal is. So, for instance, I want to pass more of the TPI screens this year. I pass a certain amount, I want to pass one more. Well, how am I going to get to there? That's going to help me hit the golf ball better. It's going to help me score better, all kinds of things. So, I think breaking your goals down, like you said, Frank, into something that's achievable, something you can chew on, get through, right? And then begin again. And then, keep upping your goals. Because if you're not upping your goals, you're just standing still. And It's not, where are you going? What are you doing with your life, whether it's golf or not golf? You gotta keep going, right?
Exactly. I mean, as instructors, we want to be able to give the best information possible to our students. I love being able to talk to professionals like you both, and I really, I just want you to understand, I really love Jason's program last year. I got so much benefit out of it, and it was so neat to just interact with the different instructors there and listen to what they had to say. It's one of those situations where you need to keep your eyes and your ears open and start thinking out of the box and realizing that it's a big world out there. There's a lot of good information. Let's tap it. Let's use it. Let's bring it to our students.
Yeah, it's about the Jason's coaching workshop there in Toronto.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Thanks, Frank.
Awesome thing. Awesome.
Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was really good. And congratulations again for your award. You're going to be getting it down to Orlando.
Jason, congrats. That's fantastic. Speaking of goals, what an awesome thing.
Yeah, should be fun when we get down there. So.
Yeah, it's something definitely to celebrate, educating people and helping them with what they do. It's really good stuff, Jay, putting that stuff together. So
thanks, Mike.
Okay, well, I think we should wrap up today's podcast, all about goals. How can we get a hold of you, Mr. Helman?
I'm at Jason Helman Golf, pretty much every social media platform you can think of. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can find me there.
All right, we're going to share all kinds of ideas about goals. And Frank, we know where we can get a hold of you on the Mike Fay Golf website.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, very good. Thanks so much for you guys coming out, talking all about goals and how we can help people set them and get better. All right.
Thanks, guys. That was great.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mike Fay Golf Show. This has been a Mike Fay Golf production. Follow us today on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are Mike Fay Golf, Team MFG.